Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to do something that was inspired by Bella Bambina. I will leave her link below. She is amazing. I watch her videos like every single day and she's tweeted me a few times, which has been like, fangirl. And she said that she watches a few of my videos, and yeah, so I decided to do this video after I'd watched one of her videos, and I thought, what a great idea for a video. And that basically is going to be my driving test experiences and things like that. So basically I'm just going to talk you through when I passed my test, you know, how I did, what to expect, because when I was learning to drive and before I passed my test, I watched videos like constantly of how to pass your test, what to expect, blah blah blah, and there's not as many now as there was back then. So basically this is just going to be a little helpful tips and tricks video to kind of let you know how my test went and things like that. So let's get straight on with the video. So I passed my test nearly 2 years ago. I passed on the 11th of April 2014. I always get the year mixed up, but 11th of April 2014, and I passed with 3 minors and obviously no majors or anything like that. I did my test in Warwick, if any of you are local. I did my test in Warwick, which was good for me because obviously I live near there, so it was easy because I kind of knew the roads that I was going along and I practiced on there. So my first ever test was the 1st of January 2014 because it was New Year's Day and all my friends were going out New Year's Eve and I was like, I can't go out because my test is literally like 20 past 10 tomorrow, and I was like, for God's sake, I really wanted to go out but I couldn't. And they say the test takes anything from 37 to like 40 minutes or something. It's roughly 40-minute journey, and you know, you have to go through everything. So there's independent drive, you have to do a manoeuvre. I remember being taught all of the manoeuvres, and my driving instructor told me that I would have to do 2 of those manoeuvres on my test, whereas in all of my tests I actually only did 1. I did 3 tests, by the way, before I managed to pass. I passed on my 3rd test. Yeah, we'll go into that later. So on my first test I was very nervous, but I'd got this lovely lady. Now I don't know what it was, but because I get anxiety, I don't know, it's a really pathetic reason, but I really wanted to have this lady. When as soon as they walk into the waiting room, because you're all sat there with your pieces of paper and everything, and they start calling out names and you have to go up and sign a piece of paper that says your car's insured and blah blah blah. And this really like bubbly fun lady comes out and she's scanning the room, and then she calls my name and I'm like, yes, I've actually got what looks to be a nice lady, because you compare her to everyone else in the room and everyone else, like instructors were like plain and boring and they looked really serious, whereas she was smiley, she was wearing high heels, she was like really bubbly and really fun. So I was like, yes, I've got a good one. And you start off obviously by signing the papers, and then you go outside and you have to do the eye test basically. So you have to read off a car number plate that's in front of you. Passed that easy because obviously I could see. And then you have to go and sit in the car and you have a show me tell me question. Now I cannot for the life of me remember what my show me tell me questions were, but they were things like show me how you'd sound the horn, show me how you check your brake lights are working, that kind of thing. And if you're learning to drive, your instructor will go through everything with you, and if they don't, you can find all of the questions online, because I think there's like 40 questions they can ask you or something, and online there is every single question they can ask you and the answer, and if you can like memorize them you will pass, no problem. But I believe if you fail you only get a minor, so I don't think it matters too much, but don't take my word for that, practice them. Right, so then we set off and it was all going really well. I took the test in my own car. Well, it was my mum's car, but it was the car that I learned to drive in, because you are allowed to do that, and you're also allowed your instructor to sit in the back with you if you want, but I chose not to do that. I thought, no, do it myself. At this time I was learning with the AA and I hated my driving instructor. That's a whole different video. I am going to do a separate video dedicated to that because I hated my driving instructor. Anyway, and everything was going smoothly, everything was going fine, and there was a few points where I thought, shit, I've failed, because I did something like I didn't slow down enough, or I didn't look at my mirror before I indicated, or something like that. I thought, I'm gonna have failed. And I got back to the test centre after driving around and she was like, you did really well, but on this occasion I'm gonna have to fail you. And I was like, I knew that I'd failed because I thought, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And she went, everything's perfect apart from one thing. And I was like, one thing. One thing. So what had happened was I'd gone up to a roundabout and she told me to go right at the roundabout. And this was one of these huge roundabouts in Warwick, and there's like 4 different lanes to go around this roundabout. And I went in the 3rd lane, which said the destination of where she told me to go, basically, because I believe this was on my independent drive. She was like, right, take me here. And you have to follow the signs and get there yourself. So I was in the 3rd lane, signalling to go right, but actually on the roundabout, the 3rd lane went straight over, and I basically cut across a lane, causing a car behind me to slow down. He didn't beep, I didn't cause an accident. You know, he was far enough behind that he could see that I was in the wrong lane, and I obviously indicated to move over, but the fact that I was in the wrong lane failed me. I should have carried on going and gone, I'm really sorry, I've gone down the wrong way, and she wouldn't have failed me then, I would have passed. And I was like, for God's sake, that is such a stupid thing. But I suppose if that was like a real life situation and someone had been closer to me, I probably would have caused an accident. So I can understand why I failed. So then I got home and I was like, right, I'm swapping driving instructors because I don't like my driving instructor. And I found this guy called A-Star Marks. I will leave him link below. He's only local to me, so I don't know whether like, I don't know how far he's willing to go, but he is amazing. He's got the most amount of patience in the world. You can literally talk to him about anything. He's gives you all this confidence. He praises you after every little thing. Like if you go up to a roundabout at the right speed, he praises you. You know, if you do anything, he praises you. And if you do something wrong, he doesn't tell you off, he tells you how to improve. And that's what was different with my old instructor. If I got something wrong with my old instructor, he would actually shout and he would get really frustrated. And it was like, I cried. I never wanted to go driving with him. I cried before every lesson because I just didn't want to go on the road. But because I brought a block of 10 lessons, you have to, well, you can buy them singly, but I brought them in blocks. I had to finish them because we paid for them. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. So anyway, then I swapped driving instructors. A-Star Marks was absolutely fantastic, and I went on my 2nd test with him. Now, I failed this test again, and I believe the reason I failed this test was because I was in Mark's car. You know, in the first test I said I was in my own car. In this test I was in Mark's car. Now, because I practiced driving in my mum's car, driving someone else's car, I couldn't get the clutch right, I couldn't get the biting point right. It was a very different car and I didn't really like learning to drive in it. So I believe that's why I failed my test. But anyway, I went to the same place to get tested. I saw the woman walk out again and I was like, please, please give me her again, because she was so nice and she was so chatty. And then this really grumpy man calls my name. He's got glasses, he's got one eye going that way, one eye going that way. He can't even look at me. I'm like, how can you see the road? I know that's really horrible. How can you see to be like, to know what I'm doing and what I'm not doing? So he calls my name, I write my stuff down, we go outside to do the eye test, we do the show me tell me questions, everything's going all right. And then we set off and again, everything's going pretty well. This man doesn't say a word to me. He has a very good poker face, whereas the woman in my first test, she was asking me how my day was, asking me how my Christmas was, did I get anything nice? She was very chatty and made me feel very calm, whereas this man was like, literally that was it throughout the whole test, apart from when he said next left or at the roundabout go right. That's literally all I got from him. And then it came to my manoeuvre. By the way, my first test I had to do reverse round a corner, which apparently I did fine. In my 2nd test I also had reverse round a corner, so I thought, perfect, I've done it once in a test situation, I can do it. Did it, I felt really proud of myself afterwards. I used my mirrors, I was right next to the curb, it was perfect. Got back to the test centre and I was like, I think I might have passed here, because obviously I couldn't tell a thing by his face, but I was like, I think I might have passed. He was like, I'm sorry, on this occasion I'm going to have to fail you. And I was like, the fuck? What did I do wrong? And I cried, I broke down. My mum was there and also Mark was there. But I just cried, I couldn't help it. I was like, for God's sake, I thought I did everything perfectly. So my mum and Mark come over and they start to listen, because at the end of the test they tell you what you did well, what you did wrong. And I can't remember how many minors I got, but I got 1 serious, right? Now my serious was when I did my reverse around the corner. I used all my mirrors correctly, I was right next to the curb, everything was great. The only thing that he failed me on and put as a serious was I didn't look over my left shoulder. So obviously I was looking around, trying to reverse, I was looking over this shoulder, looking in my mirrors, looking everywhere to make sure nothing was behind me. But the fact that I didn't physically turn and look out the back mirror, even though I've got a mirror right here that shows me what's out the back. He failed me on that. Now I'm pretty positive in my first test I didn't look over my shoulder. And she said that she would have passed me if I hadn't just gone in the wrong lane. So why did I fail that test when I did pretty much exactly the same thing? And Mark was like, you could appeal because in the first test you did exactly the same and it was right. And I thought, you know what, it's not even worth the hassle. Give me a week, rebook me in, and I'll pass and I'll show you that I can do it, and I will show this man that he's a freaking idiot. I got really, really upset and really angry because there was no legit reason for me to have failed. And I'm positive when I did my driving lessons, I was never told to physically like get up and look out the back window. I mean, obviously you're supposed to look over your shoulder and look in your mirrors, and which I did, but I don't know, maybe I've just forgotten, maybe I was supposed to do that, I don't know. But anyway, then I went home and I said to Mark, I'm not going to have any more lessons, just let me chill for a bit and then I'll take it in my own time. And he was like, that's fine. So what I did was I got home and I booked my next test, and it actually came up about 3 weeks after the test before. So I was like, perfect, I'm not going to tell a single soul apart from my mum, and I'm going to take the test in my mum's car and I'm going to pass it and I'm going to thrash it. And test day came around, I got the same lady that I had in the first test, so I was like, freaking get on. I loved it. I loved having her because she was so chatty. She didn't remember me because obviously I guess she sees so many people in a day and she didn't remember who I was, but she was just as chatty, just as friendly. So we did the eye test, we did the show me tell me questions, we went driving. Now this is where I've kind of forgotten what happened. I know my manoeuvre, I had to do a I've forgotten what it's called, parallel park? Yeah, parallel park. I had to parallel park. And I hadn't actually been practicing parallel parks because I was so convinced that I was going to get reversed around a bloody corner again that that's what I focused on. And I actually got parallel park and I did it, and she was like, that was really good. And I was like, oh thank God. Like, she actually gave you feedback as you were going along and she was like, that was really good, don't panic, you did that fine. And I was like, thank God. Then we just went driving, we went around, we didn't go to the same roundabout we went in the first one, we went to a little roundabout and I did that fine. And she actually said, I said to her, you were my instructor on my first test and this is what I failed on. And she went, don't worry, you did that roundabout fine. Got back to the test centre and she kind of went a bit cold almost as she was like writing things out. She was probably trying to work out what I'd got. And then she went, do you want to call your mum over? And I went, okay. They don't normally do that, they normally just tell you, but she was like, call your mum over, and I was like, oh fuck. So I called my mum over because Mark wasn't there because he didn't even know I was taking this test, and she was like, I'm pleased to tell you on this occasion that you have passed. And I was like, oh, my whole body just went, oh thank you. It was just so relieving to finally think I can drive now and I do not need to be tested on it again. And I was like, thank God, because I get so anxious. Obviously test situations make me even more anxious, and I was just like, oh my God, thank you Lord for letting me pass on this occasion. So she filled out my certificate and that was it. And then I rang Mark when I got in the car and I was like, you didn't know, but I took my test today and I passed. And he was like, yes, I knew you could do it. And he was amazing. And I haven't actually seen him since and I really regret that, but he teaches a girl that lives down my road. So next time like he's out with her, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, it's been 2 years. But anyway, beside the point. Yeah, and I was just so relieved, and it's been 2 years since I passed my test nearly, and that time has just gone by like that. So basically I guess the message in this video is don't be disheartened if you fail first time, or even if you fail second time, or even if you fail third time, because it will happen eventually. And I actually believe that if you pass first time, you pass on a whim, because personally, I think the first time you have a driving test, you're nervous as heck, you know, you're shaking, blah, blah, blah. You need to go through that experience of being tested by an official examiner to know what's coming next time, and then I think you have more chance of passing from then on. I mean, if you pass first time, great, perfect, but I believe that sometimes if you pass first time, it could be a bit of a whim and you've just been a bit lucky, or I think you kind of need to experience it to know what to expect next time. So yeah, that's pretty much my driving story time. If you like these kind of videos, do give me a thumbs up, because I'm planning on doing a few more story time videos because I've got quite a lot of things I need to share. Well, not that I need to share, but I want to share. Yeah, do leave me any questions about driving below because I'd be more than happy to answer them. And that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys!